Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Jonesin 4 Show. Today we have another interview for you. This guy that we have on, this gentleman we have on for you today, has inspired me. I've gotten to know him through this pandemic, through this whole COVID crap and all that, as he has been inspiring people to go after their goals, mainly of speaking and helping them to grow their speaking business. But beyond that, he has inspired me to go after my business goals, my personal goals, and he's just an all-around awesome guy, and I can't wait to share him with you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present Michael Fabber for your attention. Michael, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. I was when we talked about it, I was so excited because I love what you do and I love what you're about and how you really stretch your limits. So I think that's what it's all about. That's what life's about. The more we stretch our limits, the more we're capable of.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, you have to step outside your comfort zone. You have to go outside of it and try new things, right? Keep pushing, keep trying. That's how you learn and grow, and that's how you get to enjoy life.
Dang right. I keep hearing this phrase the last like 4 days, and I think there's a meaning for it. I just got to figure it out. And it's just like the only thing that stops you is you. Keep
Yep.
hearing that phrase. Like someone said it in business, the biggest hang up in business is you. And someone said it in life, the biggest hang up in life is you. And then someone said it about relationships. And I was just like, all right, why do I keep hearing this? Like, seriously, I'm supposed to get this message. I just got to see what it's about.
The universe is telling you
Yeah.
you're getting in your own way. Stop it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I just got to figure out where. I'm like, where do I have to loosen up? Like, just let
Right.
go.
It's interesting when you open yourself up to be aware of what the universe is telling you, God, universe, whatever you choose to believe, I don't care. But if
Mhm.
you're open to it, it's sending you so many messages that if you're aware of it, you can change your life as long as you're willing to make those changes or whatever you need to do. Like, okay, I'm in my own way. What do I need to do? And I know for me, I personally struggle with that. Sometimes I don't want to see it. I ignore it. But when you finally embrace it, it can be huge changes. Have you noticed the same thing?
Oh my goodness, without doubt. The scary part is that when they send their message, if you ignore or don't notice, they'll send louder and bigger messages until you finally figure it out.
Right. Just keep
Uh,
right in your face, right? The whole time.
yeah. And it'll just get like more and more. It's almost like it's like irate with you because it's like you're not paying attention. So it's just like, all right, you didn't get that one. Here's one that's even harder. Here's one that's even harder. And I had a great run in my life where I ignored messages until it became a, a huge, like, hey, now you get it moment.
Right.
I try not to do that much anymore. I try really to pay attention. If I think it might be something, I'm like, pay attention to this right now.
Dude, I can't wait to hear more about that, and we'll share that with the audience. We'll jump into that in a quick second. But first, share yourself with the audience. Who are you? What are you about? What do you do? And all that stuff, so they get to know you a little bit more.
All right. So my name is Michael Faber, like you said. Uh, I'm just a regular mess up, right? Like I screwed up so much in my life and so much time in my life. It's really like, it's funny. It's in this space a lot. People try to make you sound great, right? Like make you sound like you never experienced failure, right?
Mhm.
So many of the people that are high up and the people that are trying to look like they are too, because there's both.
Right.
Uh, every day's on the beach, right, with a laptop and like sipping Miami Vices, which I found out is pina colada, strawberry daiquiri mixed together. Um, so,
You found
but
out at least, so that's good.
yeah, that's why I was like, what the heck's a Miami Vice? But it's like me, I came in a different approach because I couldn't hide from my past or pretend like it didn't exist. Couldn't hide from my life and pretend like it didn't exist. I'm not very good at lying because I forget stuff all the time.
Hmm.
So if I lie, I'm gonna be like, well, I really won't remember, right? Like even the truth, I got to think for a minute. So it was with me. I was just like, I have to just blatantly be me, my personal life and all the mess ups and mistakes I had in that, and me business life and all the mess ups I had with that. And really, when I wanted to get a so 2011, my life shattered and kind of I had to figure out what I was about and what I wanted really my life to be about, and
Hmm.
what kind of legacy I was going to leave, what kind of impact I would have on this earth. And that kind of drove me in this direction, Unleash You Now direction. Originally, it was called CMF, but I didn't want it to be about me because
Right.
it's not really about me. Well, what it is like if I could do anything, anyone can do it, right? And
Love
it's
it.
just, are do we want to? Are we willing to put in? Are we willing to go through it, right? To grow through it. So Unleash You Now is really just what I want to see is like everybody has a masterpiece. Everybody's here for something great, right? Like you said, universe earlier. I'm with you. I don't care what you call it. universe, God, dirt, tree, wind, I don't care. All right. It's like, they're not sitting there saying, you're going to be great and have a great life. You're going to have a crappy life. Sorry. Right. Like, it's not like the unluckiest lotto ever. Right.
Right.
It's that we all have greatness within us if we're willing to tap into those gifts and skills and master those, and then show the world those skills and what they can do for them. I always say the street sweeper paints a picture. He paints a masterpiece every day where it's safe for you and your kids and families and community to walk down the street and not get hurt. It's a clean community where you guys can play outside, right? Like, that's a masterpiece. We just might not acknowledge it as one, but it is one. I can't paint worth a damn, right? So if you want a masterpiece painted, I can't do nothing with it, right? Like, I can't even paint a room right. I don't know how. Right. I don't know why. Like, it's the wrist or something. It's a stroke. I can't do it right. But it's like we all have greatness within us. And so that's one. And it's like I want us to unleash from society, cultural, right, family tradition, whatever it is that makes us hold back from showing how great we are in some areas, in the skills and gifts we have, because our gifts are meant to be given. And it's like the tree quote, right? Like, the best time was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
Dude, I love that. I love the idea of your own masterpieces, and you have that power inside you to make everything incredible. I love the fact that, we both have the same philosophy, that there are people who, you see, oh, they're so lucky, oh, they've had all this, and people who are down the dumps. Well, they all have the same potential inside them. One of them has tapped into it and looked at it and unleashed it, and the others haven't, or haven't put in enough time or effort or whatever into it where they can. So you own the business, right? Unleash you. And so is that essentially helping people unleash their masterpieces, go their full potential?
Yeah, to a degree. It's really where we try to work with people in all different walks of life. You mentioned speakers. We do work a lot with speakers. Okay. We work with entrepreneurs and business owners. I like to call them game changers and life changers. That's who I want to work in. We're really impact driven. Don't get me wrong. We all want to make money, right? We all want to pay our bills. We like lights on, right? We all want to live life with freedom, to be able to dictate how we live and what we do. So believe me, I'm a huge believer in that. So I'm not sitting here, don't make any, but I know I can impact more the more I make. So I know I have to make some, but we're impact driven. So it's one of the first questions I ask. So I'm really snobby now when it comes to clients. I'm a snob, because okay. I want to do so many things that I used to have so many clients, and we had so many different packages, and we had like 1 month packages, 3 month, 6 month packages, like 1 week package. I was like, why do we have a 1 week package? Like, right. It's not instant, right? Like, it's like, is that 1 week package every day? Cause that might work. Right. But, it's like, so it's like a year package. And I was like, no, I don't want to do all these different things. It's too much for me, to stay focused. So I'm like, let's keep the Batman, right? Cause that's our top one.
Nice.
It's the right. It's the Batman. It's everything.
I love it. Awesome.
Right? Thank you. So we kept the Batman. I was like, that'll open up so much more. I only have 12 of these. And it's actually worked out so amazing, because the people I love working with is the people I get to work with. Right. And it also frees me up because, like you, I know you do a lot of things for people in different areas that aren't necessarily paying you to do so.
Right.
Because you want to help and you care about people, which is one of the reasons why I love you. Right. Like, I haven't even got to hug you yet. But just from what I've seen and can tell and read, because I'm a stalker.
I appreciate it. So am I. I stalked you ridiculously.
Here we go. Good. I'm glad we're on the same page. Right? Just because alignment's so key. And I went on numerous podcasts when I was trying to make it, per se. And when people didn't align, it just becomes like an argument or a fight or something. Then I have to concede on something I don't really want to, because that's their show. And I try not to be rude on their show. So now I'm like weird picky about shows I go on. I'm doing one today after this one that I'm not excited about, that one of my people put me on. I'm like, And it was that conflict of, do I support my person that was trying to do this, or do I be like, yo, listen, this isn't really for me. We don't align on what we say.
Right.
But for you, like, I love how you just want to help people. You just want to impact people, and don't. I know you like your lights on too, so.
Right. But lights on are great. I love that, but it's the impact, right? Money is, a good friend of mine, Scotty Moe, said, money is energy. Well, he heard it from someone else, but money is energy. And so if I can help people live their best life, live their life to the max, and, design their life kind of like how you unleash it, I help them design it so they can unleash it. like that's huge for me. And then money's just the energy flow from that, and it
Right.
helps me keep my lights on, your lights on, everyone's. It's awesome. So
Right.
that's what we like. Um,
But they're right.
Dude, I love it. And I'm kind of jealous. We're aligned so well, except I cannot grow that beard. Like your beard is epic, dude. And I've tried. I can't do it, but
I'm sure
congratulations on
it takes time. I
that.
actually use like HGH on it.
Oh, there you go. Just just grow, baby, grow.
All right. I visualized. Those good visualizing sessions.
So let's jump back real quick here to when you said you had, you ignored Mother Nature, Earth, Wind, Tree, Fire, Wind, the universe, whatever, telling you, the band, Chicago, telling you to, you're ignoring the signals. So, and then it came to bite you in the ass, essentially. So tell us about that story and what you learned from it, how you grew, and what came from it.
I had to learn this twice. Right.
Twice.
Once wasn't enough for me. I'm real hard headed. So the first time I was younger, and so my two parts of the story to say before I really get into it. One, I was born without the ability to hear at first.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get the ability to hear until I was 3 years old. So I didn't learn how to talk or hear. Like I didn't hear words or anything. So I didn't learn how to talk until I was like 4 or 5. But my dad was hardcore military, and my family was. And it was no excuses. You're starting school, like you're doing what everybody else does. Like we don't want to hear nothing, fight through, overcome, right? Deal with. Right. Fantastic for a kid, right? That doesn't understand that. Yeah. So I go and I fail 3rd grade, right? Like in 5th grade, I have to walk back 2 classes to do reading and English, right? Wow. So there was a lot of good jokes made about me, which then led to a lot of altercations because I didn't shy away from them. And part of the reason why I didn't shy away is because when I was in 5th grade, my brother passed away. My brother is one of the 22 year a day that took his own life that served the country.
Sorry, man.
And that's so where I was and where I grew up and how I was raised and what I saw at least, or at least what I decided to see, was men weren't upset. Like we weren't hurt. I wasn't manly, right? So we were angry, right? We were pissed, right? Because that was manly, right? And like, I control that then. You didn't hurt me. I control my rage, right? Like, even though it sounds ridiculous now, but when I was younger, I was like, no, this makes complete sense, right? Because I didn't have any. So the idea was after that, I couldn't express my pain. So I wanted people to feel it.
Gotcha.
Right? Because I couldn't express it. So I was like, this is how I'm going to let it out. So I would get in a bunch of trouble and fights and different things of that nature. And went in and out of court, juvie, community service. I got to scrub toilets for a year for free. It was fantastic. I learned very young that I don't know how people miss the toilet so much.
It's a crazy thing. I was a janitor for a suburb and maintenance for 2 years. I have no idea how people do that. But
right? Like I'm like, you got to work to miss a toilet like that. Like that's hard.
Right. How drunk are you to miss that? But
right.
And I think going back to the anger thing, I think so many the culture, our culture, Western culture, especially in the U.S., that men are angry. We're told, not directly, I would say, but maybe to not show emotions. Right? Maybe happiness, maybe, but anger, sure, but that's about it. Right? You're not allowed to express your emotions and do that, and that was a hard thing for me to let go, and I'm still working on being more open with my emotions. But it's helped so much, right? With my relationship with my wife has helped out tons that I've opened up. And I think a lot of people miss that in their life, especially men in the culture. But I just, side point of your story. So sorry.
Oh no, 100%. I 100% agree with you. That's the culture in which we keep that we perpetuate with our families and our people is that, men were supposed to be tough and hard and strong and fighters and hunters, right? Like, and we're not supposed to feel, right? Like, we're not supposed to feel at that level. Mm-hmm. And you're right. It's like, I think we'll forever be works in projects in that area because we're doing years of rewiring.
Yeah.
Right. Of our computer.
Of past generations coming in, and you need to rewire that and rework it. And I said, I'm in my 30s, and I've heard about it in my 20s, but I worked on a little bit towards the end, but now I'm just starting to really get into it. I mean, heck, imagine if we were able to be like that in when we're first born, and then teens, and have
Hmm.
that, how much farther along we'll be, and hopefully future generations will be there. We can hope.
Right. Hopefully, emotional intelligence is almost more important than I believe IQ is. EQ is more important than IQ.
Yeah, I would totally agree.
Right. And for a lot of the masculine world, it's been masked. Right. And you could say the same case for on the women's side, right? Just a different.
Right.
It's you're not supposed to be certain things. You're not supposed to think or act or show certain things, right? And it's all that programming that
Hmm.
we've been. And like you said, it's not just when we've been alive.
Right.
This thing's thousands of years old, right? Like, so we're working backwards for thousands of years of programming that we have to try to repair in a lifetime to make it where we could truly live our best life as the best version of ourselves.
Exactly. Men struggle with it in their own way. Women struggle with their own way. And I mean, you can break that down any way you want, but we're struggling with it, and you're working on it. So wherever you are, whatever side you're working on, you should be working on your emotional intelligence, and improving it and getting better every time. I think that's huge. So we'll go back to your story. You were struggling with your scrubbing toilets, doing all that
All
stuff.
right.
Then I went off on a tangent. But
No, I love it. You're very much like me. I float around.
perfect.
The other thing too is we have to be open about it.
Oh, totally.
Both sides, right? Like us having this conversation is huge. 10 years ago, I wouldn't have this conversation with you.
Yeah, 5 years ago, I'm not sure I would have.
Right. Right. So it's like to say that we're having this conversation openly for other people to hear, and we're being vulnerable in that space about those things we feel, that hopefully makes it where other people will then be vulnerable in the space because they see it and it's accepted and it's welcomed, right? And you're
Exactly.
loved for it, not against it. Right. So that made me really angry. I got in a lot of trouble. Like I said, I spent a good year as a janitor for free. Um, and it was, I just kept doing it little by little, right? Like, and it was stupid things. I always got caught for the stupid things. I never got caught for the real bad things I did. I got caught for a phone card that I didn't even take.
Oh man.
Like it was like real. I got caught for pumpkins. I took a bunch of pumpkins one Halloween. I took like 150 pumpkins though, right? Like,
Wow.
I went
Now that's
out.
effort right there. No, I'm gonna
Thank
take
you.
two or
I went
three
down.
pumpkins and smash them. No, I took
No,
150.
I
Like,
didn't. I
you
didn't
just took a
smash
couple.
any. I didn't smash any. It was a scavenger hunt. Who could get the most pumpkins? And we won with 150. And we had to stop counting because the cops came running through this parking lot to get us for pumpkins. It was crazy. But of all the stuff I did, that's the stuff I got caught with. And it was
Wow.
just like, it was always dumb stuff. I mean, there was a couple serious things in there, but most of the stuff was dumb stuff that it was silly they're doing. But it wasn't even the point. The point was that it was like every time I felt like I was getting in trouble for that small stuff because I was stupid, right? But really it was signs like stop doing what you're doing.
Right.
Right. I didn't get caught for the big stuff because that would have been life altering at that moment, right? Rather than transformational at that moment. Right.
Right.
It can alternate you and not transform you. Right. So I just kept going to, and it just kept getting worse and worse. And in high school, I dared one of my buddies to take a car. He took the car and passed away in the accident. So then I have more guilt, right? More pain, more upset, but I don't know how to express it still,
Mm.
right? So more fights, more trouble. I lose a bunch of my teeth, right? It's fantastic. I have to gum everything now.
Mm.
The but so it's just more loss, more guilt, more upset, right? My father dies when I'm a teenager, more guilt, more hurt, and me and my father's relationship was difficult. It was he was right. I just didn't know it. All
Right.
right. So I fought it, and at like 16, I moved out of my house. Uh, lived in a car, lived on a buddy's couch, then got my own place. Uh, and literally the last 6 months of my dad's life, my dad asked me to meet him for lunch one day, and I met him, and he said, my mom was always battling health issues.
Mm.
Right. So he said, for your mom's sake, let's have a relationship so she can see it. So if anything happens, she knows she has the comfort of that. We have a relationship. It was crazy. We did that for 6 months. We were cool. It was probably our best relationship we ever had. Literally the night he died, I said, I love you, Dad, before we even knew anything was up. I broke into the house. It was weird that this went well, right? So I broke into the house, not to take anything crazy, just to see some of my old stuff and take that. So it was like some of my old clothes. So I took some of my old clothes, and when I was getting ready to leave with my buddy, he was coming in. And I was like, oh shit. All right. And he was like, you didn't break anything, did you? I'm like, no. He's like, all right. He's like, you got some of your stuff? I'm like, yeah, it's just my clothes. He's like, all right. he's like, I'm like, you all right? You're home early. He's like, yeah, my back hurts. I'm like, oh, all right. And I gave him some ibuprofen or whatever and said, love you, Pops, I'm out. And he said, love you. And I didn't know that was the last time I was going to speak to my pops. But I would say, like, you talk about thing working out, right? Like, I could beat myself up for the couple of years that we weren't, or the year or so we weren't really cool. Or I could say, thank God I got to say, I love you, and got to have somewhat of a relationship with him at the end. So I didn't have to live with all that where it was like, that's how it ended. I never got to say how right he was. I never got to say thank you for all the things I didn't even know he was doing, that he was looking out for me when I was going through a lot of, because I was in and out of court all the way till 20.
Wow.
Right. So he was doing like my lawyer stuff. I didn't even know. All right. Like, he's giving my lawyer, he's breaking down people's testimony, showing the lies and discrepancies.
Wow.
So then my lawyer, right, I was just like, oh my God, like, I didn't even know this at the time. So it was horrible and sad, but it was also where I was grateful for those moments. And really later in life, I'll show you how that came full circle around to my whole life, but and how it got me through some of the hardest days and darkest days. But at 20 years old, I'm facing 25 years, 25 years plus. And I find out I'm having a daughter. And right. And it was just like, holy crap.
Wow.
And that was kind of, and then the trifecta happened. So I find out I'm having a daughter, and I'm like, I don't want her to visit me in jail or me be dead and her not know who I was and not be able to have the relationship and raise my daughter the way I would want to do that as a man, as a person. Right.
Right.
So I have that happening. I have the risk of, because now remember, it was all little things, community service, QV, like couple months. This
Right.
was all of a sudden years in prison. And I was like, I don't want to give up my whole life to jail. Right. Like, and I don't know, I'm not a very big guy. I don't know how I'll make it. Right. Like through years of it. Right. So, right. Like a month or 2 or 3 or 9, I'm like, I can handle that. 25 plus years. I'm like, nope, like, not for me. All right. So, I have that happening, and we're in court, and I'm in one trial where it's like 15 plus years I'm facing, and it was for aspirin. True story. I got arrested at church. That's why me and church have this like battle. But I'm facing 15 plus years in this aspirin case, and it's in court for 2.5 years. I was in court for it.
Wow.
And finally it's dismissed. And my boys all like, jump on my back because they're behind the stand where I'm sitting. I'm at the table for the defendant, and they're behind it. So they're like, oh, we're out. Like, you did it. Right. And I'm like celebrating, like, yeah, like, we're free. Like, let's go do more dumb shit. Right. Like, and I look over and my mom is crying on the floor. And I'm like, oh, she's confused. Right. Like, I'm like, Ma, like, we won. Right. And she's like, till when? And she looks at me with the tears in her eyes and says, to when? And my mom's a saint. Like, my mom's an angel. My mom should have gave up on me a long time ago, and she never did. She went through everything. Like, I'll take whatever she does because of how much she supported me and backed me and never gave up on me. When I gave up on me, when most of the people around gave up on me, when schools gave up on me. Because, I mean, like, literally in middle school, the teacher brought my parents in and told them to take me out of school and teach me a trade because I'd never be able to do anything in my life if they didn't do that. In high school, I was voted most likely to be dead or in jail before 21. Right? Most yearbooks don't have that award.
No, most don't usually.
Right?
Not a
They were
common
very
one.
nice to me. Yeah, they were very kind to me. But I earned it. And so it's that moment, the trials and years I was facing in my daughter, and I'm like, yeah, I got to change my life. Right. So that's the first thing. Like, wake up, Mike. Right? Like, it took you all these different events, and you're finally starting to get it because we had to hit you with like 3 horrible situations in a moment. Right. I'm not saying my daughter's a horrible situation, but finding out that I'm facing 25 years and I'm having a daughter is a horrible situation. Because I thought I was going away for something.
It's crazy how life can throw all these things at you. And also now you have 3 big things and not horrible things. I mean, 25 years in prison would be horrible, but your daughter's not horrible. And so like you have these more monumental things happening and saying, well, guess what? This is your time to change, to adapt to whatever you need to do, or just see what you do. So, and you chose to change. You chose to see that as a sign to go like, oh crap, I need to change what I'm doing now.
Dang right. And I always say my daughter saved my life and became my life in a heartbeat.
That's
The
awesome.
moment, right? The moment she was born, I was different. And people always said like, you made that choice. And I'm like, I didn't have a choice. Like at that moment, that's all I saw.
Right.
Right? Like, so I packed up everything I had, which wasn't much. And I moved to Delaware, which, why Delaware? It's the only place that ends in where. And I figured that if I got in trouble in Delaware, like I truly earned it. Right? Like New York City,
That's
it
one
could
way to think
find me.
about it. Giving Delaware a good name. Yeah, perfect.
Right? Thank you. I'm like, it must be hard to get in trouble in Delaware. Like, I've never heard a thing about it. Right? Like, it must be hard. Like, I didn't have any people here, never heard of store, never met anyone from Delaware. But I was
Right.
just like, but I'm going to Delaware. And I
Okay.
said, it's close enough to get back to my family if I need to, but far enough away where it won't follow me.
Gotcha.
Right? Even though my family did follow me to Delaware. Like, my mom moved here 6 months after I did. I was like, okay.
All
But
right.
yeah, well, you're here too now. Let's rock. Right? So, I moved to Delaware. I opened up a restaurant and a beach bar and grill. Right, I take one money I had and I opened up a beach bar and grill. It was awesome. It was a lot of hard work. I would used to be under that naive perception where it's like if I just work hard, I'll make it.
Yeah. That's I
Right,
mean
like
that's
that's
the
all you need.
dream,
Just
right?
work
I
hard.
mean, you work hard, you hustle your butt off all the time, and you make it.
All right, yeah. It's like that's a lot of motivational speakers are just like you just got to work harder. Right, like that new thing was like no one cares, work harder. Like that new phrase. And I'm like,
Yep.
yeah. I mean that's part of it. Working hard is part of the equation, but there's an equation to this thing.
You
And the
do need to
more
work for it. You can't just sit on your butt and like
yes.
passive income. That's great, but you can't just sit on your butt. You actually need to do work.
Right, right. Like you need to do work, you need to learn, you need to grow, you need to connect, you need to network, right? Like you need to leverage your position and what you do and how you help people to
Exactly.
then look like and be the person that they need for their help.
Hey everyone, Spencer Jones here, and I want to cut in real quick because I want to invite you to something special, something that's going to help you grow as a person inside and out. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Jonesin 4 Challenge Day. We are hosting it here at our house with the Ninja Course and all that stuff on October 3rd and 4th. You will have fun in sessions, you get some physical challenges, challenge your mind, you'll create new friends, and you will have so many breakthroughs, you're going to walk away a new person. If you'd like to learn more about this epic event, go to spencermjones.com and check out the challenge days. It's going to be incredible. I want to see you there. So check it out and sign up today. See you then.
And it's funny that we both have janitorial experience, right? Because I always say the guy that was the hardest working in my middle school was the janitor.
Oh,
His name was
totally.
Tom and his name was Leroy. And they were the two hardest working dudes I've seen outside my dad. And they bust their ass all day long. And literally, I wouldn't have made it through middle school if it wasn't for them, because when I would freak out and get like way too out of control, Tom and Leroy would grab me and bring me right into like the jam. They had this little office, and they would bring me right into the office. And they're like, you sit there and you chill until you can breathe right, then you can come out. Right. And I swear I wouldn't have got through school if it wasn't for them. And my buddy Yoder, who wrote my final report of my senior year, so I got to graduate. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have graduated either. Right. So
You think about janitors, and I mean, just we're going on side tangents. This is fun. Janitors, right? So I taught middle school and high school choir for 9 years, and I was the janitor and stuff before that when I was in college. And really, for the most part, a lot of the janitors, a lot of the maintenance staff, well, they weren't the best students, quote unquote, right? They struggled, so they get it, and they are there to help you out no matter what. And so for me, when I started teaching, man, I befriended all the maintenance, all the janitors, all that stuff. And, I had a coffee pot in my room because I love my coffee. And so they were welcome to do it. And they just came in and, we shoot the breeze anytime I didn't have classes or I wasn't working, directly to something. They just stop in, say hi. And we have these great relationships between all the janitors, maintenance staff, the tech guys. I mean, all that because, they've been through stuff and, I've been through different things and we were able to relate. And that way, if there was an issue, right, whether student issue or whatever, they were there to also be supportive and help out, right? And it was incredible.
you're very smart. I was a basketball coach for a while, and I did high school for a while before I went to college. And the janitors, they always got the best Christmas gifts from me.
Yep.
Right, like they always got free tickets any game if they weren't working.
Yep.
Right, like they always got all the same gear that the team got. Right, like they were offered to go on the bus to any away game they wanted to go to if they weren't working. Right, like we did everything we could, right, for the janitor because we knew that our success, right, our appearance, right, we could be proud of what we had was all through them.
Exactly. That
So
school,
I
that
love that you
building
did
is
that.
clean and and ready for people like you talked about the street sweeper, right? They're making it possible to be safe and be a good environment for you to succeed.
Exactly, 100%. And so it's funny that me and you have such an appreciation and both lived our lives in a way to show that to them. That's awesome. That shows the character I thought you had is true. So big credit to you.
Right back at you, brother.
Thank you. So yeah, I moved to Delaware, opened a business, and then opened a couple businesses. But then I became material, right? Like I thought if I had the biggest bank account,
yep,
I would be good, right? Like anybody cares what my bank account says,
right?
Right? I never had a client
or knows, like, okay.
I never had a client go, all right, before we sign this, what bank account? What's in your bank account? Like I never had that happen. Right now they say that someone's going to do that, but until that point, it has not happened. And but that's what I did. So I bought the big house, right? Like 3,500 square foot house. Yep. I had a Cadillac Escalade, right? It was white. We called it Cane. I had spinning rims on it, all tinted out, 6 12-inch subwoofers in the back, running off the factory deck. It was so uncomfortable to be in it, but I thought it was so cool. Right. This isn't even the worst part. The worst part of the story is that I used to wear, I had 10 velour suits. They were all different colors, Converse velour suits. And I used to wear one a day with matching Timberlands and a matching Kango hat every day. And none of my friends told me that I was ridiculous. All right, like that's ridiculous. No one told me. Like I was like, I had the worst friends on earth. Like no one, everybody had to be making jokes because I make jokes about myself now. So and I didn't even see it then.
I mean,
right? It was embarrassing. It was horrible, man.
Wow. I mean, I dressed like a hippie for years and years, like 70s, total like plaid and stripes. And I love it. I make fun of myself now. Still freaking love it. Not that I dress like that anymore because I got some common sense. But like, wow, that took it to a new level. I applaud you, but also, you know, a little terrified. Good job.
Yeah, right. It's okay. No one ever made a joke. And but the hippies is my favorite generation, by the way. So I'm glad that's my favorite culture of any generation.
Same.
Right. So I dig what you just said, and so that's what I was about, right? And even though I didn't think I was about it, I thought I was about being a man's man, right? And the culture in which I came from. Be there for your people, be there for your friends, back you, like have your people's back, be there so you can lift them up, right? We always say 3 things we look for our people: lift us up, build us up, or check us to keep us up, because sometimes you gotta get checked, right? Like so so that was, and I thought I was like the man's man, like I was the leader of men by how I acted and how I did, right? And I really thought like I was like the alpha and the omega, right? Like I was it, and everybody be me, right? Like I was all of a sudden Moses. And so I have the house. I'm in the yard hitting fake golf balls, and just so we know how fake hitting fake golf balls is. So it was perfect that this is happening now that I look back, right? Because this was the moment. This was the beginning of the realization that I was fake as could be. I'm hitting fake golf balls in my yard. I don't like golf. I'll play it, but I don't like it. I don't like it because it's anger. Like 90% of the game is like just infuriating.
Yep.
I play for the 10% where I hit that like 2 good shots around. I'm like, oh, I could do it. And then I never do it again. And then I'm like, damn it. Exactly. So I'm hitting fake golf balls, and fake golf balls don't help you with a slice. They just help you short distance. And my buddy calls me, one of my best friends, Matt Carter, he calls me and he's like, hey man, I'm going through it. I just got in an argument with my wife, and it's a bad one. I'm like, you know, come on, you got an argument with your wife, it happens, right? Like, you know, I'm literally, I have the phone on and I'm still trying to hit golf balls because that's how important hitting fake golf balls are. Right? And we have like a 15-minute conversation, and everything he says, I just keep saying the same thing pretty much. Like, it'll work out, just go back home, right? Whatever. The next day I find out that he took his own life. And in my background, my studies were in human behavior and neuroscience. So just because I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't listening to what he was saying. I wasn't listening to how he was saying it. I wasn't listening to the emotion, the tone. I wasn't listening to any of that. So when I was asked, I couldn't answer it because I had to be honest and acknowledge that I wasn't really even paying attention to my boy going through it. Right? And I claimed to be the man's man, best friend. Right? So I find out he took his own life. And that's when my world shattered, right? Because my reality shattered. Right? Like what I thought, everything I thought I was, everything I thought I stood for, I wasn't. It wasn't someone else wasn't. It wasn't I could point a finger. That finger had to be pointed at me. So I go off, I get off my rocker a little bit, and I go to take my own life on the beach, Lewis Beach in Delaware. And I have the gun in my mouth. That's why my front teeth are chipped in middle. That's why I don't get them fixed. So I remember humble beginnings. And the a picture that was in my wallet that I didn't have my wallet on me though, so it's really weird. But this picture falls out of my pocket, and it's of me and my daughter when I was going to go play beach volleyball one day, because I used to play a mean beach volleyball game. And I'm just sitting there crying, right, with this gun in my mouth, and I don't know what to do, right? Because I don't feel worthy of life at that point.
Nope.
Right? I feel isolated, but I also feel like a burden to everybody I love and care about, right?
I get that.
Right? What good am I here? And because of that picture, I don't do it, but I disappear. Literally disappear for 6 months. Missing person report for me. I'm like hitchhiking across America, trying to find me, right? Like I always say, like I was hiding somewhere, like I was underneath a rock or behind a tree. I looked under all those rocks and under behind all those trees. I just couldn't find me.
Right.
Right. And along the way, I'm meeting awesome people and like learning about them and society and culture and all the different areas, even just in this country alone. Right, the different areas and what's going on in those areas and what those areas' beliefs are and what their norms are and just what the people are about there. And I'm meeting people and hearing their stories and they're not CEOs, right? Like I always love when people are like, oh, you're the CEO of Unleashing Now. I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, what does that mean?
Right.
Like, it's like they weren't CEOs; they were just people, right? And they're talking about the trials and tribulations they went through, and they're talking about the times life beat them down, the time. You know, the times where they thought about quitting themselves and where they weren't there, and they don't know anything about my story or what I'm doing or what I'm about, but I'm just listening and they're inspiring me and they're making me think and they're like opening my mind to the truth of what is, right? And that punk I was till 2021, I created him.
Right.
I decided to be him. I forged him to be the guy that I thought he had to be to make me survive that moment. Right. And then the next part of my life, I always call that the villain part of my life. I was the villain until 2021. Yep. The next part of my life was the scariest part because that's when I was the damsel in distress. I was waiting for someone to save me. And I didn't know I had to save me. Right. Just like you have to save you.
Right. We
all have to be the hero of our story.
You can't allow other people can motivate you, other people can inspire you and give you and offer tools, but they can't do the work. You have to do it yourself. And dude, I'm resonating with your story beyond belief because I've had very, very similar feelings, everything you've said. And it's crazy how our stories align so much. I didn't disappear, but I've had to use my personal moment that I had after I had my huge breakdown to rebuild myself back up and realize who I am. And there's still days, I'll be honest, there's still days where I struggle with it, where I question myself, but I'm able now to get out of that mindset of much faster than I was before.
That's awesome. And that's huge, right? Because it used to be falling that mindset used to take me forever, like literally, like it used to years of my life away by falling into that mindset. And just recently, like people ask me like, oh, you've been doing this since 2011. You know, like now it must be so fluent and easy for you. I'm like, fuck no, right? Like, no, it's not, right? Like I said, just recently, just this last, and don't get me wrong, I still have moments where I'm like, am I really built for this? Is this really like, am I really capable of this? Like, but that's me. And I always say now those thoughts are selfish thoughts because all I'm trying to do is talk myself out of doing something that I feel uncomfortable with subconsciously or consciously.
Right.
Right. So now I'm like, I won't let that happen because I'm not here for me. I'm here for others. Like our life's a gift and gifts are meant to be given.
Exactly. You're here to help each other.
I have to give.
Right.
I have to give this purpose of me away.
Yeah.
And if I don't do that, I didn't do my purpose. And we're all here for our purpose. Right. So recently I've been doing these like connotations. Right. And it's like that what my life is meant to be is written in the universe has written it. It's willed by the universe. Right? Like God, whatever you want to call it. And it's there. The only thing I have to do is keep going. Because the only way that doesn't happen is if I stop.
Exactly. The only way you cut it short is by not doing it, by changing trajectories and ignoring those signals. I mean, I think we all have a purpose on the planet. Me and my personal belief that we are energy, just to get philosophical, we're energy beings, and that we are here for the human experience. And overall, we want to help each other be better, to improve, to have the best experiences. Some of us go through, horrible crap as a kid, go through those villain stages. We have to go through those damsel in distress stages. I love these words, by the way. Go through these different stages, and to realize, well, no, we need to do this ourselves, but then also empower others. And I'll tell you, since my breakdown, I have, it really struck a chord with me to up what I'm doing, to help even more people, to inspire other people, and go off and do these different things. Hence why me and Jonesin 4, we do these different things, but they're all aimed to help people live their life to the max, to figure their stuff out so that they can really be the best version of themselves, so they can inspire other people and motivate and be more positive, blah, 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 so we can make this ripple effect across the world, right? That's the dream.
Bro, and I want you to know how you've impacted my life and then my community's life. Is I watched some of your crazy, like, I feel like you're doing like backyard ninja warrior stuff.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I'm like, I can't do that. Right. Like, not yet, at least. I need more training.
Come on over. So, I'll help you out, brother.
Thank you. But so because of you, I see those videos, right? So I started doing more things to get in shape.
Nice.
Right.
Dude,
and
awesome.
then, right. And then no longer that, I started doing it, and I feel me being better. I feel me being better mindset. My body's feeling better, right? And I ran my body like a rent-a-car. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ran my body ragged through my life. So I'm like, wow. So then we have a membership group, and it's all about growth, health, wealth, relationships, mindset, and purpose. It focuses on those 5 areas. It's a small buy-in just because we want people to have skin in the game. You gotta have skin in the game.
Yep.
And but it's for people that just want to grow, that don't have the resources or are resourceful enough yet to be able to do any kind of high ticket or bigger items or travel big trips, but still want to be part of communities.
Right.
So what I said, you know what? I said I was inspired by this guy about physical shape, right? And about really working, and like, we talk about all these other areas, but we have to work our body too, because this is our vessel, exactly. Right? So let's start implementing a monthly health challenge. And we did, the first month was this past month, and we did the squat challenge.
Nice.
Right. And you should see, it's crazy. There's so many people in the community that are like, this is awesome. And like, everybody's holding each other accountable, and they're marking what day they did and how many they did that day. Right. And it's beautiful to see. It's the most interaction in the group has been because of this challenge, and none of them came in for that. But that has awesome. Been the biggest uniter, and all because of watching a couple of your videos and being like, dang, I got to do stuff to get in better shape, right? Like, and then starting to do a little bit and being like, hey, how about people take the journey with me, right? Who here wants to do a challenge? And a couple said, yeah, and a couple were like, maybe, let me see. And then it ended up where the majority of the room is doing it, or if they can't do squats because their knees or something, they're doing some other type of physical fitness.
Right.
Because the guy said he couldn't do it for his knees. He's running, which I don't understand. I'm like, that's harder on your knees, but go ahead. Right? Like,
whatever works. Sure.
Yeah, whatever. Float your boat. And people are making videos of it, and then people are trying squats like crazy ways, like on a medicine ball while on a platform thing. And I was like, oh my God, right? Like, don't die, right? But and it was all because, and just so you know, it's like one of the things that was the hardest for me to accept is that you don't even know the amount of people you're impacting, because you don't get to see all the ripples.
And dude, I thank you so much for sharing that story. Because you're right, you don't see the ripples, and it's hard at times because you want to see the people you're affecting, and just knowing that I was able to inspire you, and then you spread that to your community, and then they spread it to each other and other people outside their life, because I'm sure they're sharing, oh, I'm doing this weird squat challenge thing, and then it starts growing. It's huge. So thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And let's I'll help you out. Let's get you having some fun with this physical stuff, and come over, check out my ninja course in the backyard. I'll help you out. You will have, I can guarantee it, you will have success on it when you come up and try. Like,
all right, I'll come up and try. I'll hold you do it.
Heck yeah, brother. So you were in your damsel in distress stage, and we can progress from there, but you're in your distress stage, and then you realize you are the only person who could change you. And so where does that leave you now? I'm assuming you're past damsel in distress to what's the new level? What's that called?
The hero of your story.
And
yeah, nice. I like that. You're the hero of your story. You're the hero now, right? And what happened was 2011 happened. My life shattered, and I said, I get to create who I want to be, right? Like I created that dude out of stone in the middle. I created the dude out of stone at the beginning. Who am I going to be at the end, right? And I gave up 30 years playing these other roles. Don't give up any more time. Play the role that you want to play, that you're meant to play, that you feel called to play on this earth, right? So I started diving into things I was interested in, things I loved, right? And a lot of it involved coaching and coaching basketball, because that's what I love. I loved basketball. And I always say, like, I met my true love when I was 3 years old, and it was a basketball. And I was like, no one likes that other than basketball, I guess. So, right. But so it was coaching basketball. And then I realized that I was using basketball as a vessel, like I did most of my life. Basketball was therapy for me when I was younger, because it was a way I got to express myself. Basketball was even playing field for me, because it didn't matter how much money you had. It didn't matter how much life you came from. This is, we're all equal here. We get to practice and work our ass off and see what happens. Right. So it was always that basketball was a vessel. And then basketball ended up being a vessel for me to my purpose, which was impacting people. I love it. So knowing that their life and whatever it is, your current, I love this Trent Shelton quote, current situation isn't your final destination. Right. And I love that freaking quote, because when you're going through it, you think, this is it, right? This is all I have. This is my life. And you're like, no, this is a moment in your life. Your life's full of moments.
Exactly.
Right. All right. And it's hard to see that when you're going through it. That's why I'm not big into the positivity, like, just say it's all great, right? Like, no, it's not great, right? Like when my pops died, it wasn't great. When my boys died, it wasn't great. Like when my brother died, it wasn't great, because I lost numerous people different ways, and none of them were great, right? But one of the biggest things, so how this all happened was, my buddy says, I got you a ticket to a conference. I'm like, no, like, I am not going to any of that stupid ass conference stuff, man. All that, life is great, feel great. Oh, right. Like, and they're like, no, first, it's not like that. And second, I bought you a ticket. Don't make my blessing and gift go to waste. Like, don't waste what I got you. Right. And I'm like, wow, that's rude. Like, I didn't ask you to get me shit. Right. Like, so whatever, I go to this conference. I'm that guy at the conference that I make fun of now. Like, now that I speak, I literally look for these people, because they're the ones I'm going for. And I say it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with, I was that guy and I needed people to go at me. Right. So I'm in the conference. I'm like this, just like, not, people are jumping, right? Like, people are high-fiving, people are dancing. And I'm just straight cross-armed, doing nothing, right? So the whole night, the whole day, literally, it's like 12 hours. Wow. I don't make it like, other than going to the bathroom and getting a lunch break. I don't do a single exercise that they're doing knowingly, right? Like, I don't do anything visual that they see that they broke me or changed me, right?
Right.
Get in the car, they're all talking about what an amazing event it was and how they're going to implement this and this, and I'm making fun of them, making jokes, right? They drop me off at my place. I walk into my bedroom, and I just cry. Right? Just straight breakdown.
Yeah. And
that was when it all, like, everything hit me. It was like everything I did made sense, right? Like, and it wasn't even that. It was that before that moment, and Tony Robbins said this exact line, I was just like, damn, right? And it was before that moment, life was happening to me. I was the victim, right? And then all of a sudden I looked at my life and I said, this happened for me. And then I became where I held the reins. This was mine, right? And I lost the people that I lost because, one, I got to have the relationships I had with them, right? Like, I got to have my brother for like 12 years. I got to have my dad for till I was a teenager. Some people don't even get that. I got to have some really close boys, like my boy Carter, my boy Ferris, my boy Wig, like my boy TT. All these guys passed, but I got to have those relationships with them, right? Like my boy Matt Allen that passed. I got to have that relationship with him, and I got to experience the love. And like, what we're here for is to love and be loved, right? Like, if you break it down to the barest level, it's like to feel love and to give love. And that life was a hell of a life, right? So I'm like, and all this loss taught me that you can still make it through it. Mm-hmm. That doesn't have to dictate you. That doesn't have to dictate your future. That doesn't have to dictate your current situation. That you can do that. And I was like, man, if I went through all this and I still had the chance to make it, everybody can do that. Right? Like, I'm not special. That's what I always tell them. Like, I wish I was, right? Like, my beard might be the most special thing about me. Right? And I'm not special. So it's like, I love seeing people do great stuff. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, and I love seeing people go after their life, because one of the things that's 100% true, and me and you both, I think, can relate and know this. the pain is guaranteed.
Always. You're always
Right? The shit is guaranteed, man. I wish there was a way I could tell you don't have to go through the swamp. I wish there was a way to tell you didn't have to go through the mud and muck and other stuff that you're going to call it mud just because you don't want to know what it really is. Right? Like, I wish I could say that. But here's the deal. I can't. No one can stop you from going through that. If you do anything or you do everything, you're going to experience that. But here's the kicker. The good is not promised. All right? So if you want the great, you got to go for it. Right? Like, you got to go all out for it, because the only way to make all this worth it is by going for this.
Exactly.
Right? Because if you don't, then what was the point of the journey? Just to experience pain?
Right. It's so much more than that. I love how you said, and then you said Tony Robbins said this, was that life's not happening to you, it's happening for you. Huge difference, to and for. And I haven't heard that exact quote before. I might have, but I don't remember that exact quote before. But I shouldn't say, but the thing that I think of and believe in is that, you have all these experiences happen in life. You have amazing experiences and you have some really crappy experiences happen in life. And, you can let life just, you can live your life on autopilot, let life happen to you, right? You're just coasting along, doing whatever kind of life says. Or you can live your life the way you want to, take control, take the reins, as you said, and use those experiences that life is giving to you. I can't remember the exact word now, but that life's giving you to grow and learn from, right? So those crappy experiences that you've had, right? Whether it was someone died, that you are really close to, a personal experience like that, a business failure, whatever, right? Anything horrible in your life, right? A divorce, I don't care. You put that in there, you can learn something from that. You can learn something from that mud, we'll call it, that you're going through. And if you don't take the effort, you don't take the time to invest, to learn, to see what it's about, what can you learn from it, what can you take away and learn and grow and adapt for the future or implement for the future, then you're just going to live in mud. You're just going to live in that crap. And that's not going to help you out. So how you're saying, like, you could stay down there. Well, that's if you don't care. That's if you're not going to try. If you have your eye on being better and improving and actually shaping a life that you want to live, well, you might be in the mud right now, but focus on what you can learn from that mud in that situation, go back in and look at the positives and negatives and all that stuff, learn, and then implement that so you can get higher and higher. Will you fall back in the mud? Guaranteed. We all do at times. It happens in our life, but you get to learn from it, right? You get to, like, oh crap, well, that was stupid, I shouldn't have done that. Or, okay, I made a small mistake here, or this happened, I can learn this, switch, boom, and then you're back up on those stairs going towards living your best life.
Dang right, 100%. I always say, it's weird, April this year, I said, was one of the hardest months business-wise for me. And I got a million no's, it felt like, right? And every time I'd get a no, I said, sweet, like, I learned something, I'm closer to a yes.
Yep.
And by the end of April and early May, I was just like, I'm going to freak out, right? Like,
it's daunting. All those no's.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just like, all right, it was like a month plus of no's. Like, we got to get a yes, right? Like, and then May ends up being the best month we had in business yet.
Wow. That's awesome.
And it's like, when you look back, you go, I was laying the groundwork.
Yep.
Right. And it's funny, you mentioned the speaking part. I do very little in the speaking part. I talk about storytelling, how to create a story. All the rest of the course is ran by AJ Vassar, who's amazing, lives out of Columbia, the country, and international professional speaker and trainer, amazing at what he does, right? Taught me so much about a business that I was in for so long. I was like, why didn't any of the other places I went and paid good money teach me about event hosts and planners and about how to connect and relate and how to change up your one sheet per conference? I'm like, oh my God, like, I didn't know any of this.
Right.
I was in the same boring ass one sheet to everybody and wonder why I didn't get picked, right? And why I say story is because story is so key. Like, story is like the greatest art on earth is storytelling. And why it's so important is this: what happened to us isn't the story. What we tell ourselves happened to us is the story. So, and if that's the truth, which I believe it is, then the event isn't what dictates. It's what we tell ourselves the event means dictates our life. Right? So if I lose this gig, or if I don't sell this, I suck at selling. Our product's horrible. We're not helping anybody, right? We're frauds. Like, this isn't real. if that's the story I'm going to tell myself, that's a problem. Right? Like if my story is I'm not good enough, if my story is that I'm a burden to the people that care about me, if my story is that I'm all alone, that's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not the story, it's what story are we telling ourselves that we're living by. Right? And if that's the case, then we can tell ourselves the story, whatever. Like we dictate the story we tell ourselves. So if you're going through crap, you could say, oh my God, my life is shit. Or you could say, oh my God, like I'm really making good fertilizer. I'm going to grow like a mug, right? Like, right. Like this, I have the most fertilizer of anybody ever on earth. I'm going to grow to be the best and biggest, right? Like, even though two words I don't like to use, best and biggest, because they're all a metric. I don't know what we're using, but that's why I try never in any kind of copy or talk. I try to use best, greatest, top. Like my mom thinks I'm the greatest person to ever walk earth. My ex-wife thinks I'm the worst. Right. Sure. Like I imagine I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, yep. But it's all like that stuff's all relative to whatever metric they're using. But my thing is like, tell yourself the story that helps you. Don't be the thing that hurts you.
Dude, that is epic advice. So good. And, one of my mentors told me, we were talking about conducting and life and philosophy. He's a really good mentor. Fun. Yeah, it's totally random. So in a good way. But he said, when we were chatting one day, he was telling me stories, right? And stories is how we pass, how we relate to people, right? When you watch a movie, you're watching a story. When you read a book, you're reading a story, right? Before there was written word, how did things get by? Through stories, right? We tell things through stories. And that's how we relate to so many things. And after one of our conversations, he said, you were meant to hear what you were meant to hear, and what you didn't, you weren't meant to. So don't worry about it. Just remember what he had me write down the things that I remembered from our conversation. And that's what you're meant to hear. Well, let's adapt it a little bit for our conversation today. Well, that's the story you're telling yourself, right? We all see things differently. This conversation happening right now as we're recording this, you're seeing it your way, I'm seeing it my way. And I have my storyline, which is true to me. You have your storyline, which is true to you. And hopefully they're pretty accurately the same, but but there are own ways. So looking at your life and the things that you're doing in life, the goals you're going after, and the life you're living, if you're telling yourself you're crap, that this is ridiculous, well, you're telling yourself this really stupid story that's hurting you. Stop telling yourself the story, and instead, it's not that you're lying to yourself, you're just looking at it through a different lens, a better lens, and saying, no, I'm learning, I'm growing, what can I do? And sometimes you're not going to take a lot away. Maybe it's a small thing to learn, but you're still going to take something away from it, right? You're going to learn, you're going to grow. So change that story that you're telling yourself and that you're living, so that the story you're going to live in the future is going to be better, because you're planting the seeds, they're putting the fertilizer, and you're building those steps to live your biggest, best life for you, right. Just for you, buddy. So
dang right. 100% true, brother.
So, dude, this has been an amazing conversation. We've been chatting now for almost an hour. Holy cow, right. Time flew by. So much fun. One quick question, and then we'll wrap it up here. And that is, if you could offer one piece of advice to the people watching and listening today, one way to help them live their life to the max, what would it be?
One of the things I always tell people is that you matter, right? No matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, you matter. That being said, you matter because you're here for a purpose. And so you're here for something. So you might not see it yet. You might not be meant to see it yet. You might still be developing the tools to be able to see it, to be able to achieve it. Mm-hmm. But you're here for it. So keep going to live that life. It doesn't matter, right, like what you do. It matters how you do what you do. I can prove that, but that's a lot to get into right now. And I love the Macklemore line that he stole from an Indian proverb, and it was, you die twice. The last time you take a breath, and we all have that Annie, and the second time is the last time they mention your name. Live such a life that they never stop mentioning your name.
I love it. Amazing advice for people. And remember, folks, you do matter. Where can people learn more about you, find out? I know you have your podcast, Unleash Your Hustle. I subscribe to it. I love that show.
Thank you.
And so people can subscribe to that, but how else can they find you and learn more about you, bud?
You can find me on any social media site, really. I mean, my daughter runs most of my social media sites that I don't do. But I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all that. And you can find me under Michael Fabber or the coach Mike Fabber. Either one. My number and my email address are public. That is legit my phone number. That's not some BS SMS service that people now try to pawn off as their phones, which is fine. Do your thing. Mine is actual my phone. You're going through and then you need to talk about something. You want to bounce ideas. I don't care what it is. I'm always available, right? Like at the beginning of this, I said me and Spencer are similar because we want to help people. We do a lot of things where there's no money involved. You're going through something. You need to call somebody. You can call me. I'm not going to ask for a dime. We're going to figure it out. I don't care how long it takes. So you're not alone. People care, and you matter. So definitely reach out. I look forward to any of you guys. Spence, thank you so much for having me, brother. I really appreciate it. I can't wait for tomorrow for you to come on the Your Story is Your Power Facebook show and YouTube show. So I'm excited to see you, and I'm going to keep you there way longer than an hour, I can tell.
Perfect, man. I can't wait. So folks, if you want to check out me on his show, make sure you go to, is it Unleash Your Hustle? Or which one is it going to be on?
It's going to be Unleash You Now, the Facebook page.
Okay, so Unleash You Now Facebook page. Cool.
Yes, sir.
So we will be there. Make sure you can check that out as well. And if you didn't get any of the links or where it is, that's okay. You can go to our show notes. Just go to my website, spencermjones.com. Look for the Jonesin 4 show, and we'll get you all that stuff, all the show notes, all the good stuff. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in today. I truly appreciate it. Michael, thank you so much for being here. He's out. So folks, have a great day. And until next time, we will catch you all later.
Hey everyone, Spencer Jones, and I'm sorry to butt in like this, but I'll keep this really short and sweet. I want to help you live your life to the max. I want to help you chase your passions to get the most out of life. And I wrote a book to help you do that. It's my latest book. It's called Chase Your Passions. It's available on Amazon, and I know it can help you change your life and help you live your life to the max. It's basically in the book, I walk you through how to create the ultimate roadmap to success. Whatever that success looks like for you, it walks you through it. Everybody has a different roadmap because everybody's dream, everybody's goal is different. So everybody's roadmap is going to be different. But this book helps you, guides you in creating your personal roadmap to success. So folks, don't delay. Get on Amazon and just look up Chase Your Passions. I put Spencer Jones in there too, just to be safe, so it pulls up right away. Or go to my website, spencermjones.com, and get your copy of it today. And heck, get the Priorities of Practice journal with it, because that companion journal, that makes it that much sweeter. All right, folks, thanks for listening. I told you I'd keep it short and sweet. Catch you soon.